My husband cheated on me with my childhood best friend. Throwaway account for obvious reasons. This is way too personal and I'm not trying to get identified or doxed. My best friend I've been friends with for literally 18 years and my husband who I've been married to for 7 years together 2 year and we have 2 children together. I've never been this hurt before. I feel like harming myself. The pain is too much. I'm never going to get through this. I know I can't have these thoughts. I have small kids, but I already suffer from mental health issues and this is truly a lot to bear. We will call her by her nickname Cece because I'm not going to keep calling her my friend repeatedly on this post. Me and Cece are both 30 years old and my husband is 34 years old. I could tell there was an instant attraction with them. She's a very pretty girl. She has gotten mistaken for her early 20s. And I'm ugly. I've gained 50 pounds since I've met my husband. I've got wrinkles already, smile lines and forehead wrinkles. I'm just not attractive as I used to be. I regret being her friend even though she really was the only friend I had and the only good friend I had. She helped me through so much. She's given me money to help me in my struggles and she even helped me get a job. I don't know why she did this to me. I moved back to my home state, where she lives, and they start messing around. They blamed it on the alcohol and the heat of the moment. Like seriously, what are y'all 16 years old? The heat of the moment? Really? Even if that was true, then why did y'all fuck more than one time? I went through his phone and they had sex again even after I found out about it and tried to forgive him for it. He blamed it on me because I wouldn't have sex with him anymore after he cheated on me. It was really hard for me to get intimate with him after the cheating. I just wanted to cry and I felt even more bad about my body. In their messages he just keeps talking about how sexy her body is and sending photos back and forth and it makes me even feel worse about myself. He also said after our second child I barely had sex with him. While a woman's sex drive does eventually decrease, I don't have the same drive I had when I was 21 Gs. I don't feel confident in my body anymore. I'm 5 feet 0 inches and 157 pounds, I'm trying my best to lose weight. On top of that I work and I have 2 small kids. I don't have time to be horny. We still had sex, it just wasn't as much to his liking or preference. He would literally want to have sex all day every day. We would have sex like once a month. Like that's not that bad for what we have going on. He expected crazy sex like we're in our 20s again. It's always sex, sex, sex. Like stop, I'm not attracted to that. How about you tell me I'm beautiful, take me out to a very nice restaurant and date night like you used to, spend your money on me for something nice and shiny, make me dinner, take some extra shifts with the kids. Now that turns me on. I'm communicated that with him and he says that's 2 different issues and the issue is that I'm not giving him access to sex, as if that's the only thing I'm useful for. I don't understand the obsession with men and sex. This isn't fun for me. He has so much time to have a hard-on and I hardly get any free time and when I do have free time I want to relax. Anyways, back to Cece. We're not friends anymore. Cece and my husband still talk but they haven't hooked up since last month. They've had this affair for 6 months. My husband and I are still living together. It's complicated right now. I love him and hate him at the same time. I don't want to be married to him anymore. He sleeps in the guest room with my youngest. It's just very complicated with the kids and the house. Financially I'm screwed. I have met with a lawyer secretly and I'm just trying to use him financially as long as I can. I don't want to be homeless again. I don't want to struggle. I don't want to see my kids half the time and knowing my husband he would do everything in his power to fight for his kids out of spite. As of now I'm just staying but not because I want to, because I have to. I made my bed and now I have to lie on it. Whatever TF the saying is. I ended my relationship with my childhood best friend because his brother was dating my girlfriend. This is a throwaway account because God forbid this ever gets back to me. I am currently a 24-year-old male. This entire soap opera went down when I was 18. Before I continue, some context is required. Me and my best friend were inseparable since we were kids despite the fact we lived a town away from each other. Outside of our bi-weekly playdates where my mom would drive the 15 minutes to the next town, our main source of bonding was through online video games. We used to wake up a couple hours before school started just to play games together. We were always there for each other. When I was in middle school my mom and dad divorced, and a couple years later my mom started dating my best friend's dad, who had recently separated with his wife. This was a bag of mixed feelings because I feel like everyone's dream is for your best friend to be your family, but my family also was very volatile, so I didn't want it to ruin anything. A year or so later they get married and my best friend, his dad, my now stepdad, and his brother, my now stepbrother, come to live with us. This move I would say was the beginning of the end of it all. That brings us to my final year of high school. I'm so sorry, but one more thing. This is the more darker period of my life. I was struggling with depression, abandonment issues, and was angry at the world and my family for the unhealthy dose of trauma that was inflicted on me during my childhood. I would like to preface this by saying that at this time in my life, I was not a good person. I took my hate out on others. I know the damage I caused and have so far spent the entirety of my adulthood changing that and healing the damage that I caused where I can. So, final semester of high school. At this moment in time I had given up completely. I was blowing off school, very aware that I was going to flunk out of high school. There was this girl in my class, who I will refer to as X. I was always aware X liked me, but I did not feel the same way towards her. I had just broken up with my girlfriend when X and I started having casual sex. I also want to say that at this time, I am the asshole here. I knew X liked me and I exploited her feelings just so I could have sex. There is no way that I can atone for that. The fact that I was this kind of douche will haunt me for the rest of my life. This goes on for the entire semester. One day I am in the kitchen and look out the window into my backyard and see X, as I'm about to go see what she wants. My stepbrother, who was 24 at the time, joins her and they start hanging out. Apparently they ran into each other when they were both walking their dogs. SB, stepbrother, recognized X from when she came to my house once. They bonded over their dogs and their friendship began. I talked to SB about it. He said it was nothing. I noted it as extremely uncomfortable and continued doing what I was doing with X for a week or so. Until they went on their first date. One final note. I do not believe that X cheated on me with SB. Our relationship was purely sexual, so she had free rein to stop doing what she was doing with me and go after whoever she wanted. Unfortunately, she decided on my SB. When this happened, no conversation was had between me and X about this, it just happened. SB did not know about me and X's relationship. Their relationship was none of my business, so I left it up to her to tell him. She never did. For a couple weeks this uncomfortable situation goes on. X stops talking to me altogether and is around my house a lot. By a lot I mean she's there right as school ends and as late as 2 in the morning. As the weeks go on I become more and more uncomfortable, and one night, I step over a line and ask both of them about their relationship. The next morning SB comes into my room and politely tells me that their relationship is none of my business and that probing about it was uncool. Which is fair. So I turned to a mutual friend of X's and mine and confided in her that having X around until 2 in the morning makes me uncomfortable. I was also worried that she didn't tell SB about our past, which seemed like something he should have known. Unfortunately, this conversation did not stay between us and X found out I was uncomfortable with SB and hers relationship, to which she told SB that. When I get home that day, SB is waiting for me. He proceeds to yell at me about keeping my nose out of his business and curses me out in front of my 12-year-old sister. At this point, all hell breaks loose. I let it loose that X and I used to have sex. This divides the house. My mom goes on the defense of me, saying she doesn't want X around the house anymore, whereas my stepdad went on the defense of SB. But what irks me is not that SB knew about me and X's history and continued to date her, which is gross, don't get me wrong, it's that he never came to talk to me about it. Not once. From then on he proceeded to not acknowledge me anymore. To this day I still don't think we've actually talked once. And all in the middle of this, was my best friend. Because he was my only friend, I would constantly complain to him about how much SB was in the wrong. I would call him names and say what he was doing was disgusting. But it seems his brother was doing the same thing. I know now that this was wrong. I put him in a place where he felt like he had to choose between me and his brother, but I was too fueled by hate to see this was killing him. It finally crescendoed when my stepdad came to me and told me what I was doing, and the pain I was causing him. My best friend was backed into a corner, told from both sides to pick between us. We had been drifting away since the marriage. We were growing into different people, not the same kids we were. So, I did what SB didn't. I talked to him about it, about us and our friendship. And I offered him a way out. I apologized for what I said about his brother and told him that we could just be stepbrothers instead of friends. He agreed. X and SB continued to date. Certain rules were established saying that she wasn't allowed to stay overnight. It was the most my mom could do, which I appreciated. Since then it was the cold shoulder from SB and my best friend. I don't think we ever really talked to each other again. SB hated me. He hated that I was in the way of his relationship, that because of me he couldn't spend the night with her. I would hear them leaving the house late at night, sometimes as late as 4 a.m., complaining how stupid it was that she couldn't stay. My new home was my bedroom. I hardly ever came out until SB and X moved out together a year later. I just didn't feel safe anymore. It's 7 years later now. The family never fully healed. No one ever really talked about it. SB and X dated for about 3 years before they broke up. My best friend and SB avoid me like the plague during the holidays. My stepdad tried his best to be neutral, but I've always felt like he resented me a little too. I was the villain in this story and I know that I am the asshole for many different reasons. I truly wish I did so much different. I'm giving full custody to my husband. I'm done. My husband won't stop cheating on me. Recently I found out that cheating went all the way back to when he got me pregnant and he stopped cheating for a while and then he recently started having online affairs. And now he's paying for women's of. He forgot my birthday last week and I saw that instead he was tipping women's of instead of buying me a gift or anything. We have a 3-year-old that I didn't really want in the first place, but I got pressured by my husband and my family to have kids because it's my job as a woman to be a baby maker and a housemaid. It's insane that men want children so bad but they hardly contribute other than another paycheck. They do fucking nothing yet want a huge family. How can you beg for a child so much and hardly changed a single diaper since birth? Hardly contribute to the household at all. Never pick up an extra baby shift. Only ever help out and babysit when yelled at and nagged at a million times. Come straight home from work to have a beer and relax, but when I come home from work I want to relax too, but I can't because I am expected to be the default parent, personal chef, and housekeeper. All they want to do is have sex and do nothing all day while a woman does everything for them. I'm not asking for advice, I don't want it. I've been seeing a lawyer and I'm only taking their advice on the next steps. I'm not changing my mind. No one here is certainly changing my mind. I've always felt this way, it's not out of the blue. I'm letting everyone here know not to waste their time because I'm not reading any comments with unsolicited advice. I'm just gonna stop reading the comment. I just need a safe place to vent and that's all. I know the process is going to be a roller coaster, but I've been feeling like this since day one. It's not a decision I've made easily overnight. This is the hardest thing I've ever had to do and I've been through a lot in my life. Please don't spam the comments with PPD. I don't have that anymore, I just simply don't want to be a mom and unfortunately, we find that out after we have kids sometimes. I don't hate my child, I just don't love him enough to stay in a miserable marriage and a miserable life with a child for the rest of my life. My life changed for the worst after having a child. I want my life back. I don't care if I even have to pay child support. I make significantly less and my husband is a high income earner, so my attorney will work with me to get that waived. My husband is very prideful and he wouldn't accept money from me anyways and wouldn't push child support on me. I hate being a mom. I hate being a wife. I hate this life that everyone pressured me into thinking I would find joyful. I hate spending time with children. I'm tired of the screaming and tantrums. I hate participating in children and mom events. I hate being around other moms and kids. I enjoy nothing about being a mother. I feel like I wasted 3.5 years of my life on being a mother. The only sense of relief I get is when I drop him off to daycare. I get a feeling of sadness when I have to pick him up from daycare. I know it's not fair to my child who was only one innocent in all of this. I was pressured by society, my husband, and my own family to have this baby and how I will love this life after I have this baby and just to do it and give it time. They said it would be different when you have your own child. It just didn't work out that way. Oh, I wish it did. It feels awful feeling like this. And yes, I'm already in therapy. I've been in therapy for 7 years, and yes, I'm also in therapy for my issues on motherhood and marriage counseling. Our marriage counseling has been trying to make our marriage work, but it's not working and I'm leaving both of them. I'm waiving my parental rights and giving full custody to my husband. I know once he has to do everything by himself, he will do a better job raising him than I would. My husband raised his younger brother practically himself at one point. He's just been pampered all his life by his mother, so he thinks it's okay and just normal for a woman to be raising kids, working full-time, and taking care of the house inside and out. Women are only useful for raising kids, sex, cooking, and cleaning. I don't care what anyone says. Men do this exact thing all the time and no one bats an eye since it's normalized, and you just hardly will ever see the same situation reversed in genders. I don't want advice once again, just a safe place to get this off my chest and vent anonymously since no one in real life knows my plans yet. I'm trying to keep things low-key as I just started seeing an attorney. It might be a small thing, but knowing to have my family's support is one of the best feelings. Not an English speaker. I don't know if this is the right place for something like this, but I will try. The relationship with me and my family zoo, like I love to call them, have always been good and I have always been proud of it. Since I was kid I can count on one hand the major episodes of family drama, so I always considered to be lucky and always helped my family as best as I could. To make a few real examples, 4 years ago one of my uncles had a pretty huge hole in his barn's roof. I come from farmers and basically the family in my old country are all farmers, and when I saw it I decided to step in and paying for a new and more modern roof instead of the old one, which was just a matter of time before the whole roof went crashing down. Another thing is when 5 years ago I opened a specific bank account for my grandparents because they were getting old and having health issues, but unfortunately with their poor pensions they couldn't keep it up for hospital checks, exams and medicines. And the biggest investment I ever made for my family was 3 years ago when an aunt of mine wanted to expand their little farm because according to them it had potential, so through contacts and people owning me favors I made a background check on the place they wanted to buy to see if it had sense or not. After seeing that it had sense, but since it was 3 hours from the city the place needed to be known and people needed to be convinced to make a 3 hours trip in the middle of nowhere to buy farm food, vegetables, fruits, milk, meat, eggs, so the classic farmer's fresh food. And since somehow if I wanted to finance a business for my family I wanted to make things serious and big, so bought for them all the more modern machines and all this stuff. Until now that I'm writing, the business is going very well, more than me and them could have expected, and they're always trying to convince me to put my name on the business because of how much money I spent for them and because I believed in them, but I always told them that it was pure business and it was their idea, so I'm okay with how things are. So just from this few examples you can see that I'm not exactly a selfish type, and if my family needs me for real stuff I'm always there for them, and since money aren't a problem I don't have any problem helping them. This said, I go to the main point of this post. Obviously my family isn't perfect and it have, like every family I think, that aunt, cousin, uncle, nephew or member who wants to take advantage of people, and in my case is an aunt. She have the fame to be terrible with money and to just spend them for stuff she can't afford, like designer clothes, jewels and all this stuff. I always knew her by her fame, but until yesterday she never came to my radar for dem ends, but unfortunately yesterday she did. She wrote me saying that she was sorry for the news of my mother's death. My mom died of terminal cancer a few days ago and I flighted back for the finals days with her and for her funeral, and then started asking me money for an emergency. So I asked what type of emergency and she told me that her roof was leaking and she ran out of money and water was flooding her house. Like always I told her to send me a video or a photo or some proofs of it, and here starts the comical part. I mean, the photo was clearly photoshopped and it was so clear that she didn't even make an effort to make it more real. So I told her that she was wasting my time and to ask money to someone else. But the thing ended there, I thought, because she didn't reply. But this morning she brought the issue on our family group chat, pointing out that she asked me for help because of an emergency and that I was too selfish to help her and send the photo. I never thought that she was that dumb to even send the photo, because time 3 minutes everyone started to make fun of her because, like I said, the photo was clearly photoshopped. And then things took a worse turn when she started accusing everyone to make fun of her when she needed the most, and then send the text that made everyone angry and brining up stuff and issues I had no idea existed. The text was, "Your mother would be very disappointed in you for not helping family," and believe me, I was typing the response, "My mother would be proud of me to not give money to people like you," when text started to float in with accusations and old grudges, like she said, because she had this habit to ask money for emergencies and then to spend them, like I said, for useless stuff, but I had no idea that she asked money to so much people and that she never paid them back. So without even being able to reply anything, I saw as everyone was tearing her apart on this. It's almost poetical in a certain way. This went on for 3 hours and my phone was on the point of breaking, I think, and finally things calmed down and the texts finally are slowing down. But what caught me off guard the most were the side texts with people of my family texting me to ignore her because it was an old scheme of her, so it wasn't worthy of my time. So my efforts in being there for my family finally are paying out, and knowing that they have my back is a different and satisfying sensation. Proud to help the ones that helps me. I, partially, learned hygiene from TikTok. I, F26, learned something new about hygiene through a cosmetologist's TikTok. At the start of the video, she acknowledged that she's not coming from a place of judgment and understands people can't know what they have never been taught. This is comforting, but also made me wonder what else I don't know at this big age of mine. TT Turbo Easy Business and Education Part 30 if anyone wants to search it. I'm embarrassed. I have been for years. As a kid, I consistently had an aversion for touching water, and I also felt like showering was a chore rather than seeing it as self-care, important for my health, etc. Later on, I developed pretty severe depression that obviously didn't help. Showering once a day would be the maximum, but not the minimum. At the peak around the last time I was hospitalized, involuntarily, it was absolutely terrible. I can only imagine what I looked like and how it felt to be around me. Lastly, hindsight is 20/20, and I realized there was a bit of neglect in my childhood. For example, I never knew underwear needed to be replaced regularly. I treated them as I did t-shirts and thought as long as they aren't torn and I can put them on, they're fine. At times I even mended them for small fixes when I learned how to use a needle and thread. This is on the more tame side of other confessions I will take all the way to the grave. I started experiencing shame related to hygiene as early as 9 years old or so. My mom would berate me, many times in front of my immediate family and others, about my body odor. At first, she said I'm too young to be having it, made faces, and for some reason felt hesitant to let me use deodorant. Fast forward to college. Once I lived among people I'm not related to for the first time, self-conscious doesn't feel like enough to describe what I felt. Same in my first relationship. Then now, in my current relationship, the shame returned. This felt worse not only because it's a romantic relationship, but also because she's also a woman. Some comments could be about body odor, then when I started getting recurrent vaginal infections, her comments became worse and more frequent. Here and there, she'd add what her mom and other women in her life taught her as a young girl. The infections could be from bad hygiene, but in all honesty, even when I did everything I possibly could I still got them. Thankfully, they've stopped, and I now know it can happen for some time after the loss of penetrative virginity. I would not wish that on anybody at all. I've rambled now, but after seeing that TikTok, I couldn't help but relive so much embarrassment from childhood to now. I didn't have someone to tell me very much about hygiene practices and methods, the reasons it's important, signs to look out for, etc. Since I left for college after high school, I've been Googling, making more doctor's appointments than is probably necessary, requesting more lab tests than is definitely necessary, and teaching myself. I've cried to more doctors than I can admit. If I have kids, I will do everything in my power to make sure they're prepared with the information they need and know why they need it. I'm ashamed of how long it has taken me to get to certain knowledge or habits. If you're around someone who seems like they could put more effort into their hygiene and you decide to approach a conversation about it, approach it with compassion. You never know what they don't know, what they don't realize, and what they have been through. I'm prepared to be made fun of under this post if anyone reads it, but I needed to let it all out.